The Elon Musk Twitter saga continues. Latest news is Musk has offered to buy Twitter for $41 billion. This is just days after rejecting a seat on the social media company's board. Musk's offer of $54.20 per share, which was disclosed in a regulatory filing on Thursday, represents a 38% that's almost 40% premium to Twitter's April 1st close, the last trading day before the Tesla CEO's more than 9% stake in the company was made public. Joining us to discuss further, Lawrence Messi, who is an analyst with financial derivatives company. Lawrence, you're very, very welcome. What do you make of the latest twist in the Elon Musk Twitter saga? You think Twitter is going to accept his offer?
Well, I think one of the objectives for any company or for corporate finance is, profit maximization, right? And wealth maximization as well. So the shareholders of Twitter ultimately became part of that community to realize dividend yields and profit sharing. So a chance to get a 40% premium on your share price sounds like a good deal, but then you've got to look at other things, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be too technical, but when you go into valuation of companies, it's something you call a free cash flow, a present value of free cash flow. So you're looking at what's the worth of the company today when I factor in all the money I'm going to receive until perpetuity, that's until as long as the company exists. So if this 40% premium does capture that present value of your net worth, then that sounds like a good deal, a no-brainer, of course. But if it doesn't, well, then I believe the shareholders will obviously have some analysts come to do the books and understand what they're actually worth. However, regardless of all these fundamentals and financial issues, you have to ask yourself the human factor in decision making.
Exactly. Do you want him owning the Do you want him owning the company, right?
Yeah, it might also just be kind of an alpha move, basically. I mean, he's acquired 9%, so we heard, and then he wants to put an edit button, that Sega, and then apparently they are suing him for not disclosing his stake within the time frame.
Well, one particular shareholder is suing him. I get you. Yeah.
And then the next thing he says, okay, I want to buy
the company. Oh my gosh.
Financially, it makes sense. Like I said, if all these other all these boxes are ticked, but then you have to ask yourself, are they going to try to save face, or are they going to try and be rational and take their money out of this? So it's all to see here for now.
Well, let's see. It's up 3.1% in pre-market trading. Market cap right now is what, $36.7 billion for Twitter. So,
wow.
Yeah, I know. It's a very juicy offer. I say no. I don't think they'll accept it. We'll see what happens. Multichoice. The Senate's putting this ad hoc. we got a lot of interesting stories today. Can you force Multichoice not to raise prices in this type of environment? I mean, prices are going up everywhere. What do you think?
Well, I believe the Senate president made this statement that can they try this in other African countries? Well, I haven't had access to the prices that Multichoice charges in other countries, but I've actually I tried to analyze the price trend over the past 3 years. So the previous prices, I'll just use the top 3 bundles. It was 7,900, 12,400, and 18,000. Now those prices are 9,000, 14,000, and 21,000.
Right.
So I tried to look at those prices before the pandemic. Turns out that it's also the same. I think it was 6,800. I'm not really sure of the Compact Plus. That's the next one. And then the premium apparently was about 16,300. When you add those that want extra view and PVR and what, it comes up to about 18. So you can see that there's been an increase. But I calculated these percentages and they've been actually about between 14 to 16%.
Okay.
2020 and 2021, we're seeing inflation reach heights of
15.7.
15.7 currently. Before it was 18 as of January last year. And then during the pandemic, it rose all the way from like 11% all the way to 17. So the price increase sometimes has been above inflation rate. Sometimes it's been below.
Right.
But it's the same way schools increase school fees with inflation.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if you can't afford it and it's in line with the inflation trend, I see no problem with that. It doesn't look like they are being predatory, to be honest. Obviously, I wouldn't like to pay an increased subscription, but we've got to also think about this from a business standpoint. You know that prices are increasing. Obviously, you've got to increase. It's the same we're seeing with food as well. Yeah. Food prices are increasing. So I guess this whole argument is probably coming from the fact that television is more of a luxury. It's not a necessity. So why exactly are you trying to be predatory? But well, you have to commend the Senate for trying, but are they really trying because they're looking out for the welfare of citizens, or because most of them actually do watch
because
premium?
Most of them have it, and so they want to reduce the prices for them. So that's a good point. Yeah, well, yeah, it's just look. The association of what is it, bakers or pastry makers in Nigeria, they said that they were increasing prices. So you wonder if the Senate is going to go after every single body that wants to raise prices.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we were looking at. I had to even research on some what's driving inflation currently, just so I can be sure that I'm reading this article right. We're seeing electricity tariffs were hiked about 50% last year. We're seeing diesel, which rose to what, 600 just within this vicinity. There's no light, so which means people are now forced to pay a 50% price hike in light that they don't have and still buy diesel. We're seeing food prices rise incrementally, which means you're going to have to pay because their business model, they've got the assemblers, the admin workers, people that install. All of these people will not be living on minimum wage, but they will now start to clamor like, yo, food prices are increasing.
What do you do?
What do you do? So you've got to increase the price in a business sense. Is it ethical? Do they provide value? Well, I believe everybody watches matches on Saturday. Those matches won't be found on NTA or channels. They will be found on Multichoice. So if you're providing that value and people can afford that value and you're not being predatory, then I really don't see any legal or predatory behavior for them increasing the prices, to be honest. So what the Senate
will do what the Senate does.
Exactly.
Ad hoc committee. Very quickly, Sri Lanka and this defaults that we're seeing here. I think about a couple of minutes. Your thoughts on that matter?
Well, to answer this, I would actually like to maybe do some comparison with Nigeria. So Sri Lanka got independence, same with Nigeria. They've taken IMF loans, about 16 IMF loans, and all these loans come with conditions. Essentially, it's, reduce your fiscal deficit, depreciate your currency so that exports are more feasible. Those two mainly. And reduce subsidies as well. And these begin to sound a lot familiar to what's happening with Nigeria's IMF loans. So it begins to seem scary, but let's move forward. Then Sri Lanka also has a civil war. Nigeria has a civil war. Then we now start to get into the figures. Sri Lanka borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, and their debt apparently got to a point where it was about 119% of GDP. This is where Nigeria has some respite. Nigeria's done some calculations. Debt to GDP is
under the 40% ceiling.
It's under exactly. It's under the 40%. So Nigeria is quite healthy. Then we look at the
revenue to the debt service to revenue ratio is another one. But keep going.
So the revenue that's when Nigeria has a problem. But then we now look at Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka currently has foreign reserves of $1.9 billion. That can only account for about 1 month of exports. That's against the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is that your foreign reserves should account for 3 months at least. Nigeria's foreign reserves are 39. Our imports last year were about 20 trillion. They divide that by 12. You've got 1 point some, maybe 1.75. So that's a sizable amount of import months that Nigeria can satisfy. So Nigeria is faring better there. But then you now look, they've got power cuts. We've got power cuts. They've got increased food prices. We've got increased food prices. Though, and then the CBN in Sri Lanka did reduce taxes across the world. Well, we haven't reduced taxes across. But what that did is that it reduced revenue for the government.
We actually got to go. So really quickly though, can they get themselves out of this situation with help from the IMF? Yes or no? Yes or no answer?
They will, but it's going to come with more repercussions.
Lawrence Messi, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Thanks for joining us.